Welcome to Shade and the City. I'm your girl Treese. So I guess it's just a shade because the city is gone, but I'm just playing. No, but y'all know Chanel said I ain't got it to do. She's not doing the soap opera. She's too locked into paradise. So I am here because this is near and dear to my heart to give you guys a recap of Beyond the Gates. Y'all know first black soap opera, well, predominantly black soap opera. There was a few people in there. I was like, why are we here? But we'll get into that. But I'm excited about it. Like I said, this is near and dear to my heart. As many of you know that have been following us for a while, my whole love for TV and just in general comes from soaps or stories, as my grandmother called them. And this, she raised me on my Young and the Restless and All My Children and Bold and the Beautiful. And so it makes me a little sad. It's bittersweet because she's not here to obviously see this come to fruition. But yeah, that's why I felt it in my heart, my spirit to do it and give it to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I hope that you will join me on this journey. I will try to be better. This is 1 through 5 because obviously I've had to catch up, and you will actually see me probably stop because as of right now, as we're talking at the intro of this video, I'm only 2 episodes in, and then I'm gonna stop, watch 3, 4, and 5. But because it's a lot. It's a lot going on, y'all. And I'm gonna try to stay. I still ain't even got everybody's name for real. But I'm excited to do this. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the like button for me. And y'all, please make sure y'all subscribe as well for any of our new viewers. And if been watching us for a while and if you needed a reason, go ahead and do that for us. Or just for the fact that I got a birthday coming up. Might have mentioned that. But yeah, y'all. So let's get right into it and let's get beyond the gates. Okay. And let's get shady, y'all. Excuse my solo cup. So first and foremost, I thought it was super important, especially because I myself was confused. So I know some of y'all who may have not have tuned in yet, or even if you watched it, you still might be confused as hell, right? So let's get into it. Here's the who's who of it all. There's a lot more people. Please understand. This is what I could find for right now. Okay, so we got in the middle here our matriarch. I still don't know her name, y'all. In my eyes, her name is Mama Dupree or Mrs. Dupree. Okay. Again, hopefully by the time I finish this, I know the woman's name, but she's Mrs. Dupree to me, okay? And then but I know her as Alex, because I watch a lot of SVU, but we ain't gonna go there. But anyway, so then next to her, you have or it might be this side. Anyway, you have Mr. Dupree, his name is Vernon. He's the matriarch of the family. He apparently used to be a U.S. senator. And so, he's done a lot. He's been involved in the civil rights movement. They talk a lot about that in the first 2 episodes and his contribution to the community and the movement in general. So, yeah, and we'll see because all politicians got some stuff with them, right? And then below him is his daughter Nicole. Ain't even gonna hold you. It took me to episode 2 to figure out her name. I was calling her Dr. Richardson. Apparently, she is a therapist. I believe she is the oldest of the daughters, to my knowledge, is what I'm understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And then below her is Bill, which is Danny's, who's up here in the corner. That's her ex-husband. He apparently formerly was, what did he do before? I think he was in public service, and then he started his own law firm, like defense, and has become rich off of it, which the daddy helped because he had married the daughter. You know how I go. And now he's decided to, well, we'll get there. But that's Bill. That's Danny. And we know she's the youngest daughter and kind of, I don't want to say a brat. She's going through it. And rightfully so. She has a reason to probably lash out because she's kind of been through some things. Okay. And then below her is Nicole's husband. Still don't have his name. I'm on episode 3 at this point. If at any point you want to drop in the comments and let me know, because I hope that I get it before we get to 5. Okay. And then below him is Haley. Okay. Haley is a heifer. She's a hussy. Any one of those words works for Haley. Okay. But that's what Haley is. And it's so funny because as I was watching this, I said to myself, Haley reminds me of somebody from reality TV. And then I said, you know what? The way I don't see it for Haley, I now understand why y'all got on me about somebody else from a different show. But this is two different things. So that's neither here nor there. Let's not bring it up. Okay. Let bygones be bygones. Anyway. So yeah, y'all. So basically we first kind of meet the Duprees. They're at the Fairmont Country Club, which apparently, or Fairmont Crest, I'm sorry, which apparently, everybody kind of wines and dines at the, upper echelons of the community. So we see Mama Dupree and Nicole, and they're talking about how Danny, has been really going through it ever since, her husband pretty much up and left her. Well, he moved out 6 months ago. But basically, he has up and left her for the young lady, Haley, Hussy, Hussy Haley. He's up and left his wife for her, which apparently Haley used to be best friends with their daughter, Naomi. It's a small world, okay? So, and so yeah, so obviously she's hurt by that. She's completely blindsided. And so, Mama Dupree just feels like, okay, but at this point, the divorce has been finalized. Like she should be starting to move on at this point. But we do learn that Haley and Bill have decided that they are going to have their wedding at this whole country club. Okay. And so it's just like the nerve. No, what do they call? No coof. Okay. So yeah, she's feeling like not only did you steal my husband and ruin my whole life, but now you over here trying to live amongst my peoples and make friends and get acceptance. And I said, damn, this sounds so familiar. Again, different show. I'm gonna be quiet because this is made up. I ain't gonna go there. Anyway, so then we meet Vanessa. Vanessa is the realtor. She's one of the YT people on the show. She stops by and she notices that Danny is over here holding this invitation, and she basically tells her, like, look, you need to, I don't know why you focused on this. You need to move forward. She tries to get her out and convince her, let's go have a spa day. And basically lets her know that ain't nobody going to that wedding, girl, because your family is so well respected. Nobody would dare step foot into that wedding to support them. So, girls, just move on. But Danny is not interested because Danny is too busy being on top of her daughter, who we meet, Chelsea, which is a very beautiful young lady. And Chelsea apparently is 23. She is a model and an influencer, I guess. She has millions of followers, according to Danny. And so, yeah, she's doing her thing. And I'm assuming that Danny is kind of like her momager. And so, she's basically calling her about, her scheduling, and, she's getting irritated, and she's talking to her friend, I believe, or her cousin. I apologize, her cousin, who I believe her name was Kat. Again, y'all, it was a lot going on this first episode, so I'm trying to get everybody. But I believe she was talking to Kat about how she wants to get out of doing the modeling and really just start her own purse line, and basically kind of breaking ties, doing business with her mother, which she kind of feels bad about and doesn't feel comfortable doing right now, only because she knows her mom is going through so much with, this divorce and, him marrying Haley and all this other stuff. So yeah, that's how that's going. Then that we learned that Miss Dupree, and while they're waiting on Danny, they're also waiting on her other daughter, Danny's other daughter, to show up, Naomi, which is apparently Haley's friend. This is how, I guess, she finessed the friendship and then finessed her daddy. So yeah, but she's too busy. She's busy hunching on somebody. I ain't even gonna hold you. I didn't get that person. I have to go back to see who it was, because I can't remember who she was hunching on. Then we meet Derek and Nurse Ashley. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I'm trying to figure out how we got here and why they're here on our TV screen. But Nurse Ashley apparently has been working hard to become a nurse all her life. She's now, getting ready to start her first day, and apparently her and Derek are together. Um, but we learned that apparently Ashley might have a little bit of jungle fever. Is what it's giving, and yeah, we'll get there. We see Haley. She's on site, on a site visit for all those that have been in the sales world before. She's on a site visit to the country club with her event planner, and they're talking about the wedding. And the event planner lets her know that basically ain't nobody coming. Okay. So at the same time, Danny walks in. Haley stops, and Danny, tell her, well, I'm sorry. Haley stops her and tells her that she hates the animosity. So she says that, Chelsea and Danny were all like family to her, and she hopes that they can salvage the relationship. And basically, Danny is like, look, little girl, you got some nerve. You were a poor little orphan that we gave a seat at the table. Okay. And so Haley asked if basically they can try to be civil and tries to embrace her. And I love when Danny was like, back up, back up. You're getting a little too close for me. And so yeah, that Danny's not having it. And basically she tells her back up before you get smacked up. Back up before you get smacked up. And I was with her. I was like, you were really tripping. Then Danny finally makes it to breakfast, brunch, or whatever with her mother and sister, and talks about how she ran into Haley, how she can't stand her. And she just feels like, why do I have to continue to see this girl? It's bad enough she's already, ruined my whole life. So basically her sister has to remind her, look, I understand you mad at her, but Bill had something to do with it too. And then we learned that Bill has been a hoe. Okay. Bill has been out here in these streets, except the difference was, as Danny let us know, he wasn't, I guess it wasn't as close to home. It was never, that it ruined their whole life. She could, because it wasn't in her face, she could kind of, take a blind eye to it. So he been doing it. So unfortunately, it's just at this time that now she feels it, which is unfortunate. Um, and she feels like, basically that they got together right under her roof. And she doesn't understand how she can forgive any of that. And I don't know how you do either. I don't know how you do it either. Um, so finally, we get to meet Bill. Okay. Again, let me go back to who's who. Bill's down there in the corner now. Now, Bill is kind of handsome now. So we see that he's got his law office, his practice. He wants to, he's asking the assistant where Haley is. We learn that Haley's getting ready to pick up the keys to their new home, which then we learned that Vanessa is the one that sold them the home. Now she sold it to him, but she was in a confidentiality agreement, I guess, up until she made the sale. But basically, she lets Haley know, look, girl, you can try as hard as you want to and think that if you move up in here and you just, tuck your head and just smile and wave, that, these people are going to accept you. But that's just never going to happen because these Duprees don't see it for you. And I kind of felt the same. And I was like, I absolutely understand what she's saying. But, Haley is hopeful. And so we see her being delusional, and she somehow thinks that they just gonna all hold hands and sing together after this is all over. And that's not gonna happen because this is just the ultimate betrayal. But I was here for it. I was here for it. It was giving real good story goodness. I was here for it. Anyway, so basically, then we see Martin Richardson. Martin is, let me see, do I have a picture of Martin? I do not. But Martin is the grandson of Vernon, which is the daddy, but is also the son of Nicole, I believe, the son of Nicole, and the doctor that I can't remember his name, her husband. So yeah, apparently he works in the House of Representative is what I got from this first two episodes. He takes a lot of inspiration from his grandfather, and fought, and wants to follow in his footsteps and be a pillar in his community. So we see a lot of that. And his grandfather is just proud that he's helping keep his legacy and his dream alive. And yeah, so we basically see that Martin is kind of like, a duplicate of his grandfather and into the politics. And again, I think where I hinted this when I first said it in the beginning, it's always something with these politics, right? So then we finally get to see Naomi, um, who was Haley's former best friend, but also Danny's daughter. Her husband is the DC Metro police officer, who I still don't have his name. And so then we move on to Bill, who meets up with one of his old friends or colleagues. I didn't catch his name either. I don't know if he's even going to be. I will tell you this, because I know how stories go down. I need to figure out this man's name, or not even that. I just need to remember his face, because the fact that he came in Bill's office, talked about his son having a drug problem. He needed him to get him out of a situation. He had broken into somebody's home, stole money and jewelry, and they got his face on security cameras. But the victims wanted to press charges. And so he learns that the victims happen to be Jerry and Diana Owens, who apparently own like a tech company. So apparently Bill knows them, makes a phone call, gets it, just completely wiped away. And so the friend is like, "How can I repay you?" And he said, "Don't worry about it. That's how this works. You just owe me." And so y'all just remember that. Just put that as we go along this journey beyond the gates. Y'all just keep that in your back pocket. Okay, because I promise you that's gonna come back. That's just how these stories work. If you like me, all my children, young and restless, bold and then passions, then this is how this works. Okay, so keep that little nugget. All right. So then we get into basically like the sibling rivalry between the sisters. Apparently Nicole, seems like she's trying to give Danny advice, and Danny starts lashing out and gets defensive. Obviously, Danny has pretty much, it sounds like, given up her career at the age of 19, got married to Bill, had his kids, and has just been taking care of the home. And that's all she knows. That's all she's known. Whereas Nicole has seems like what seems almost to be like a perfect life, um a healthy, happy marriage, a healthy family. And but we all know things can't be perfect in the stories world. However, on paper it looks good. But I don't know, for some reason I just feel like her husband is better at hiding it than Bill was. He wasn't as disrespectful. I think that's the difference. But anyway, so and Danny, basically is just on a mission and has a vengeance, and she wants, these cheaters to pay, basically. Martin and Vernon, they finally get to the country club. So this is when I finally make the connection that Martin is Nicole's son. So then the disagreement between Nicole and Danny comes up in front of their father. Martin agrees that Danny needs to let it go. And basically Danny's not budging. And basically her father has to let her know, like, look, you're giving Bill way too much power that this man did not earn. So he speaks, I love how he spoke life into his daughter. And finally Danny decides that she's gonna let it go. And so then we see Chelsea in the distance, and she's listening to her mother laugh and be in better spirits, which they haven't heard in a while. And she's actually talking to her cousin Kat. Kat was the girl's name, yes. Or the cousin's name. And so Kat is like, "Well, do you hate your father?" And she's like, "Yeah, the fact that he threw our family away is kind of, it's kind of hard to get past." So then finally Naomi shows up, and she's in agreement that daddy ain't basically. And then they finally go over to see how their mom is doing, because again, they haven't seen her smile or laugh in such a long time since all of this has been going on. And so yeah, as the Duprees are sitting around reminiscing, it looks like Mama and Daddy Dupree have a solid relationship, that it seems like all the kids and grandkids seem to strive for. And then Kat tells Chelsea that basically her grandparents should be her relationship goals, and we learned that Chelsea is basically, well, first of all, she's 23. So I was like, she was like, "I just want to be single." And I was like, that makes perfect sense. And she's kind of still figuring her life out. I mean, you can aspire for all those things in the future, girl, but I was like, slow down, Kat. Okay. And then Andre, uh, which is the cousin, He goes by to see Nurse Ashley. Now, what I learned about Andre, which we learned in episode 2, so I am jumping ahead. What we learned about Andre is he is actually Bill's brother's son. So I guess his father passed away, is my understanding. And so I guess he comes in and out, because that's his family for the most part. Because obviously his dad isn't around, and I'm not sure what the situation with his mom is. But he's supposed to be in town because he was helping Chelsea with her photo shoot, and he's also supposed to be doing some work for his uncle and filming the hospital. And I don't know, just getting some footage for him. So Vanessa then decides to interrupt this loving family moment between the Duprees and reveals that she just sold this home to Bill and Haley on I forgot the street. It was Mayflower, May something. Don't get me lying, but she sold them the home on the street. Okay, that's clearly within the vicinity of them, and so everybody is upset. And Danny says she is tired of being disrespected, and that's when Haley walks in. So Danny then takes this opportunity to address her and read her down. Okay, here we go. I got it for y'all. Okay, she walks in and wants to read Haley down, or for filth in Nicole's words. And so Karen Huger was actually made a cameo in the background of this scene. But anyway, she talks. She tells her she wants to give her a housewarming present, and basically punches the dog out of her. Okay. And the Duprees just walk out like a united front. And I loved every minute of it. And I ain't even gonna hold you. That was all I needed. And I was like, hooked, slide and sinker. I'm here. All right. But yeah, though, so that was pretty much episode 1. I kind of jumped around a little bit because, like I said, I did already get into episode 2. So in episode 2, we basically learned that Nicole, she is she's obviously doing a lot of things in her community as well, and she has a scholarship fund that she gives out and picks a student every year. So I thought that was cool. So she's obviously, and then she has another assistant that works for her. So we see a young lady and another older lady, which both work for her. She's trying to get her to pick a menu for some event. So Nicole, we learn, is very much a businesswoman, has a lot going on. And then we finally get to see her husband, which, like I told y'all, is, I don't know your right, my left, but the gentleman under Danny. Okay, very chocolate gentleman under, fine, 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 man. But anyway, he finally pops up. I don't know where he came from, but he's now here and on set, and apparently he is a doctor, and so he works at the Garland Memorial Hospital, is the name of the local hospital. And so yeah, I think that, I don't, let's hope, but it gives me the vibe he probably travels a lot, and I don't know, just the way this episode was going, it gave me the thought that he might be doing some things out, off the clock. Anyway, so if he's on the clock, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, Martin is always in a scene with his grandfather, Vernon. He talks about, everything that went down at the restaurant, and Danny punching Haley in her face. And basically Vernon feels like, even though he supports his daughter, he doesn't want to condone violence. And basically Martin's like, no, but some people deserve to be punched in the face, Grandpa. Vernon is kind of like, I don't understand why Bill is putting my daughter through this and why he couldn't just end things amicably. And so, he's like, I don't know why he's trying to stick it to her. So Martin basically says that, that's who he is. And basically Haley gonna find out soon enough. And so we finally see Haley. She calls Bill. And she neglects to tell him that she got, punched in her face. But one thing that I noticed, and I want to know if any of y'all else noticed this as well, where was there a bruise on her face? Was it, because it didn't give me nothing? It didn't look like she had been hit, punched at all. And I mean, it looked like the girl hit her pretty hard. So I thought maybe I missed something. Maybe I was looking for too much, but it didn't give that she had been hit in the face at all. And then we see Danny at home sitting up in her room. Well, really, it was her living room, but she's sitting up looking through old photos of her and Bill. And her mama walks in and, consoles her, because she's just still in denial that this marriage is completely over and that he is no longer interested in being with her. So, Yeah, then we see Vernon um ask Martin if everything is good on the home front, because I think one thing that I forgot to touch on last episode was when Martin was speaking to his grandfather and getting advice. He said that, he is feeling like he doesn't know what his next step is or whatever the case. And so his grandfather was just saying, well, it sounds like you're a little bit restless, and usually that can like signify trouble at home. And he's like, nah, everything is good. I'm good. I'm just don't know what my next move is. And so we basically can kind of see that Martin is, I don't want to say standoffish, but he's very secretive. He definitely keeps whatever is going on with him, even with his partner, which we'll get to himself. So yeah, just another little nugget to tuck, because I think we're gonna figure out more about that and why that is. So then we see, and this is when we also learned that he was in the House of Representatives because his dad, his grandfather helped him out and whatever. So Danny gets herself together and lets her mother know that, I know you here to talk basically about my actions, and I knew I shouldn't have done it, but Danny feels like Haley is still in her life, one piece at a time. And so she said hitting her was the best she felt in a real long time. It gave her relief. Okay. So, you know, Mr. Priest said, for once, I'm not here to scold you. I ain't got no words to give you. I think you know better. And she said, and I can understand your anger, but I need you to do better moving forward. So then she encourages her to not let the anger take over her life, especially since Bill and Haley are riding off into the sunset and really don't give a damn about her. And I was like, well, you better tell us something, Mama Dupree. So Nicole is telling her husband about Bill buying the house on Marigold, and how Danny punched her in the face. And she admits that she's been trying to be the voice of reason, but basically Bill is been really sticking it to this girl, and I don't understand. For him to be the one that cheated, and he is really just like poking the bear. And I can't be, I will not, again, this is stories. So I know there's going to be a point that she's going to go over the edge. So she talks about how Danny treated Haley like family, and her being Naomi's friend is even worse. She's hopeful that once the wedding is over, Danny will put this behind her. And so he tells her, he has to run off to surgery at the hospital. And she tells him that Andre is going to be there. And of course, he wants to see his favorite uncle. And so he's like, okay, well, since he's in town, we should put together a family gathering. So I guess we're going to see that later. And here we go. Nurse Ashley. Another scene with her. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still trying to understand what her purpose is. But Nurse Ashley gets a visit from her mama and some friends, which we learn is Eva. Was the friend's name Eva or was the mom's name Eva? Don't get me lying. But anyway, the friend and the mama and her mama come to drop her off at lunch. And we learned her mom was a single mom, and she talks about the sacrifices her mother made, blah 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 blah. That's what my notes say, because that's how uninterested I was. Okay. So then Martin talks about his grandfather's impact that he had on him. And again, we go back into his contribution to the civil rights movement and being nonviolent. And Martin feels like he hasn't lived up to his grandfather's standards, and he lets him know that there's nothing that he could do to make him think less of him, which again, a little nugget. It makes me wonder, why are you so secretive? What's up with really going on with you, Martin? But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get it, because again, everybody got secrets. So Danny is still going off about Bill and Haley, and she figures maybe I should just move. You know what I mean? And her mother's like, oh, hell to the nah. Okay. Your family, your grandparents, your ancestors built this. Okay. And what we will not do is be run out of nowhere. And I said, well, you better tell them, Mama Dupree, because I still don't have your name. And so then Danny kind of asked her mom, did she know about the affair? Because she can't understand. She's confused as to how she didn't know herself. So her mother says that she never suspected it, um, and definitely wouldn't have kept it from Danny. But my notes say, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that, y'all. Because I don't know. The way I don't know. Again, this is soaps. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I may be wrong. I may be reaching. Maybe I'll find out that I really am tripping. But I don't know because they always said the mother didn't see it for him. So I don't know. Y'all just put a pin in it. I want to believe the best in Alex, aka Mama Dupree. So all right. Um, but at this point, Danny just wants to make this girl pay. Then we see Haley stop by Nicole's and she wants to have a conversation with her. Um, and so one thing that I did think was interesting is as Nurse Ashley and her friend Eva and her mom are getting ready to leave. They talk about Derek and how they're so solid. So we know something's gonna happen there, okay? And clearly it's gonna involve Andre, okay, because he seemed like he for the streets. All right. And as they get in the elevator to leave, Eva's mama is looking at Nicole's husband like a snack when he comes steps out of the elevator. So I said, "Oh, there's something there." I clocked that. There's something there, and I want to know more. And again, y'all, I'm only at 2 right now. Bear with me. So then we see Nicole. And I don't know if this really mattered. Nicole and her 2 assistants, the young one and the old one, clearly they kind of have like a mother-daughter kind of relationship. It was what it was. So then Haley meets Nicole trying to give her cookies and tells her that although the situation was embarrassing, she's willing to forgive her sister for her physical assault with witnesses, and she wants her to help her assimilate into the community. Nicole says she wants no parts of that bullshit. Okay. And so as Haley is begging her and trying to remind her of a time when she actually used to like her, Nicole has to remind her that her loyalty is her sister, okay? And she used her friendship with Naomi to ruin her sister's marriage. And I said, I like Nicole. I literally think right now Nicole is my favorite. But anyway, so Haley says that she didn't plan her love for Bill, and she fell in love with an inconvenient man. And Nicole tells her, so you got better deal with inconvenient consequences, sis. Duh. So Haley says that she's here and she wants to be accepted, and Nicole tells her that that's Danny's decision and everyone's going to follow her lead just based off of who they are. And so Haley knows that that's never going to happen because Danny really don't see it for her. And so then literally in a flash, Nicole's at the hospital. I guess she left that BS conversation she was having with Haley, and she goes over and then she's wishing Nurse Ashley a great first day. And I'm like, why is this woman so important? So, and then we meet the trainer who's training Nurse Ashley, which is Nurse Shanice. Okay. So I don't know what part she's gonna play, but apparently Nurse Shanice know a lot of already know Nurse Ashley's business. Okay. Because we learn later on that when she see her talking to Andre, that basically she need to mind a business and she better stay with her firefighter boyfriend because Andre is for the streets, like I said. And so then Vernon comes in ranting about Bill and his nerve and how he regrets helping Bill set up his practice. And Martin says that, that's the Bill that he's always known. And Vernon says he's happy to be rid of Bill because he's been privy to too much of their family business. So this is when they kind of give us a hint like, uh-oh, Bill got some dirt. All right. So then Haley comes to Bill's office and shares with him about her day and how she got punched in her face. He wants to immediately press charges, of course. And Haley doesn't, want to do that because it'll make her look weak. So basically, she tells Bill about how, she's not being accepted and, she was rejected by Nicole at her office. And he's like, well, duh, because that's Danny's sister, stupid. And so she's like, well, maybe we should just cancel their wedding at the country club and elope. And she thinks that no one will be there except for the people at the firm that work for them. And so Bill tells her not to cancel and thinks that he can have a man-to-man talk with Vernon, and that'll make a difference. Now, one thing I will say is, anybody else questioning how nasty this situation probably is? Now hear me out. I understand this is stories and this is soaps, okay? But, and granted, we've seen it on other soaps, from Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the Restless, where the mamas be then dating the sons, or the son. What is it? The sons. Oh, it'd be a lot. Okay, it'd be a lot going on. I do believe Brooke Logan at one time dated her daughter's ex or former husband. Okay, so If anybody that's old, bold, and the beautiful, y'all know what I'm talking about. So anyway, but it just makes me think, what's the age difference between the dad and Naomi? Like, is he 30 years older, 25 years older than his daughter? Because obviously, I would assume that would put Haley around the same age as his daughter, which would, so it's probably like a 20 plus year age difference between them. Okay. Yeah. So then basically we see Danny, and it is so funny that we're talking about Brooke Logan, because honestly, that's really what Danny gave me in episode 2, is she's going to become unhinged and just say F everybody. So then we meet Martin's husband, which I didn't get his name either. I apologize. Or at least not yet. So then, yeah, Bill goes to see Vernon. He wants to talk. He tells him Haley's unhappy that no one's attending their wedding and asks him to use his influence to get people to come. Bill lets him know he wants a respectable showing. Vernon tells him he can't help him. And so Bill reminds him that he's helped his family when they've needed a favor, and he's asking for the same consideration. So basically he's saying, try me if you want to, and I'll use the ammo that I have. And so obviously, Vernon gets it without having to say too much. And so then we see Eva and her mom, and they're talking about how she's been quiet since she left the hospital. I was really curious now, because and she deserved what happened, like better than what happened to her years ago. And I was so confused, and she's like, and I'm all in, and I was like, what are we talking about? But again, bear with me, y'all. Pace, okay. So then Martin is talking to his husband about how much honoring his grandfather's legacy means to him. They have 2 kids that they've adopted. Their son is 17 and he's struggling. And his partner is talking about how basically he's becoming distant. Their daughter Samantha is 16 and she's wanting to date. So they, have family conversation. But in the meantime, the husband wants to address how basically he's been restless, and he can understand because he hasn't been getting any sleep. And he's also been talking in his sleep. And he wishes that he would open up to him and talk to him, and share maybe what's on his mind. And, Martin just kind of brush passes it. And tells him basically to move on and stop trying to dig, which makes me think, again, it's part of whatever the secret that Martin is sitting on. Mama Dupree reports back home to Vernon that she just came from seeing Danny when he lets her know the Bill came by and they got a serious problem. And that's when he lets her know that, hey, Bill came up here to threaten us. Well, not really threaten us, but he got some dirt on Martin. And basically, it's their top priority to protect him. So now it's confirmed. Martin done something. It's just a matter of what it is, Okay, y'all. So I'm back, right? So, okay, now that I've watched episodes 3 through 5, I have better understanding of what's going on. I know everybody's name now. So we're at a better place, okay? So we're starting off at episode 3, but let's just go through again the who's who now that I know who they are. So Mama Dupree, that's what I call her in the middle. Her name is Anita. Okay. As we know, daddy's name is Vernon. We got Danny on the opposite side. Then under her is Ted, which is Nicole's husband. So now that his name is Ted, Haley is under her. And then obviously on daddy's side, you have Nicole and Bill. Okay. So hopefully that helped for those that were confused like myself. Hopefully that helped out. And then I figured out that, is it Jerome? No, Jacob. Jacob is the name of Naomi's husband. That's the police officer. Okay. Because we're going to get into that. But now that I'm getting there. Also the assistants, the older assistant's name is Mona and the younger assistant is named Laura. And that's going to be important. That's why I said it took me a minute, y'all. But anyway, so basically we realized that Martin is having these night terrors. Mama Dupree basically tells Vernon that, unfortunately, even though they gotta hurt Danny's feelings, they gotta protect Martin. That's their main goal in life. Okay. So Danny has now marched into Bill's office swinging a golf club. And basically he ridicules her for making a scene and asks if she's done. And, she slaps him across the face. She just good at throwing punches and slapping. I said, the way she just out here assaulting people all willy-nilly is crazy. So Vernon mentions that maybe he's talking to Mama Dupree or Anita, and he basically says, well, maybe old boy is bluffing, and maybe we should just, not risk hurting our daughter. And she's like, not never. She's like, I would never want to risk Martin's future. So at this point, and apparently they're talking about how it was the most awful night, but they wouldn't change a thing. So yeah, whatever Martin did was terrible. We see Ted, which is Nicole's husband. This is when I figured this out. And then we learned that Andre is, I guess, his nephew. We learned his parents, I guess, passed away in a plane crash. And he talks about how grateful he is for their support and how he stayed with them, the first couple months of him, I guess, after losing his parents. And this was like 10 years ago, he says, and, helping him get his life together. So Chelsea is having a conversation. She's with her sister about her upcoming career change and starting her purse line with Kat. But she questions, where that's going to leave their mother, because basically after the dissolution of her marriage, basically all she has is her daughter's career. Naomi reminds her that, I did the same thing. I left 5 years ago and married her husband, Jacob. That's when I figured out the police officer. And then she started her firm. And so Naomi tells her that, her mother's overly emotional and, and she's a survivor and, she'll be okay. And she basically tells her, create some distance, sis. Okay. Give yourself some space. And so then we see that Danny wants answers basically as to why Bill wants to move the hussy Haley into their community. And basically he was like, well, I sold my other home and this has been my home for years. Why not? Which is just real disrespectful. I don't know why Bill has so much animosity, or if he just likes the fact that, yeah, even if this not my family no more, it's still my family, which is just even crazier. And so she reminds him that basically he owes his successes to her and, her and her family. And Bill lets her know, despite her father or her, he is who he is because of what he's done. And he just brought her along for the ride. I said, this disrespectful mother. Okay. Danny questions if he ever loved her. He says he did. He tells her it's not about her and it's about what he needs in his life right now. And so basically he lets her know that the marriage was done before Haley came along. Okay. And so she's in the office. This is what Mano say, y'all, carrying on about how she let him cheat and he still got to have his family, and questions why he would want to leave when he had his cake and eat it too. And I was like, girl, it's just terrible. And he tells her that he hopes that she gets to a point that she can wish them well. And I was like, he really is an asshole, y'all. He really don't care about that woman at all. It's just real disrespectful. Okay. And basically he tells her if she puts her hands on Haley again, it's gonna be a problem. So Danny lets Haley know, as she's walking out of the office, past her, she lets her know that, look, you ain't the first mistress and you ain't gonna be the last. But it is the one that he wants to marry, apparently. So there's that. Okay, so this is when I start to find Vanessa actually very interesting. Well, we know she's messy, right? But apparently Vanessa is sitting in this coffee shop in a disguise, and this man is walking up to her and they role playing and he feeling all up on her leg and whatnot. And so then Danny walks up and interrupts, and she's telling her how she just came from Bill's. And then she's like, who was this? This is not Doug. So then we learn Vanessa's husband's name is Doug, but we don't really ever see Doug. But when we do see Doug, it looked like he's out here making some backdoor deals. So we don't know what Doug do, at least not yet. I didn't understand by at the end of episode 5. If y'all did, drop in the comments, okay? So she lets Vanessa know that after Chelsea's shoot tomorrow, she's gonna hop on a plane and go to Paris, to get away from this whole situation. And then she receives a summons from her family letting her know that, yeah, they need to have a family meeting. And she knows it has something to do with Bill, and basically said that whatever she does, she can't be held responsible for her reaction because that man keep testing her. And I said, well, um, and then we see Kat basically warning her cousin Andre about all the tension that's going on, or that he might feel on the set with Chelsea, between Chelsea and Danny, because you know we know that Danny is quite a momager and a little overbearing. So there's that. Now this is when it gets good, right? Because now I finally figured out why. I think I knew. Okay, so I knew Eva was the little girl that we saw, Nurse Ashley's friend, right? Well, her mama's name is Les. I guess they call her Les, but her name is Leslie. Okay. Now she is at lunch with Nurse Ashley's mom. I still ain't got her name. I think I want to say it's Sheila. Don't get me lying. And Mona, okay, which is the older assistant, right? So she talks about dealing with the grief of losing Alan. I don't know who the hell Alan is. I wasn't sure. Please drop in the comments. Let me know if y'all knew who was that her son, her man. I don't understand. But anyway, so then she starts lighting the mood and she want to hear the tea on what's going on beyond the gates, right? Or behind the gates, okay? And so Mona is sharing that Danny almost put Haley on the floor, okay? And Les is basically ask her what it's like working for Nicole and Ted. And she talks about how great of, you know, how great of bosses they are. And it's just wonderful and it's filled with love. And so, Les can't really stand hearing that. And then we see Martin's partner. I still don't have his name by the end of this, okay? He pulls him aside and basically wants to talk about his night terrors, and he tells him that, maybe his dreams are from something that he wasn't doesn't want to relive. And basically tells his Martin tells his man, look, or his husband, I should say, stop reaching. Okay, you're doing too much, you're trying to go too deep, and it's just a bad dream. Okay. And then obviously he gets the summons from the family as well. So then Mona and Lauren have this cute little mother-daughter relationship, like I explained in episode 1 and 2. And so Lauren gifts Mona with a bracelet. Nicole basically tells them to take the rest of the night off because she's been summoned to the meeting as well. And then in this moment, we learn that Ted and Nicole met at a medical conference in Maui, and that's how their love story started. And then she's off to the family meeting as well. And Naomi is very upset about how her father is basically treating her mother, about him being with her former best friend, and basically just how he's a slimy dude, and that's how he makes his money in her mind. You know what I mean? By getting his obviously guilty clients off. So she said in her eyes, she ain't got no daddy. And so we see Haley in the office. She's cleaning up the damage from Danny and her golf club situation. She talks about how much she misses having Naomi as a friend. And I was just like, why is this girl so naive and delusional? Did anybody else see? I understand it's a character, but she is like really living in this space where she's just so hopeful that I guess money and time is gonna make it better. I don't understand. It's confusion for me, but y'all let me know. So anyway, so she basically tells him that she's upset that he had to lose the relationship with his daughter. Um, and he said he really reiterates again that regardless, it would have happened anyway. Because he was just going through the motions with Danny, and basically it was Haley who reawakened him. And I said, not reawakened, okay? As they get to the family meeting, there they all waiting for everybody to come together. We begin to see just how nerve-wracking Danny could be as a momager, and she's picking at what Chelsea is eating, and because she wants to eat some meat off the charcuterie, and it was just terrible because it really wasn't that serious. But apparently Martin wants to know how he can support Danny, and Nicole tells him that maybe he can talk to her and empathize with her. You know, he's good at that. So Danny wants to know why they're there, and she makes an announcement as her parents enter the room and says she plans to leave for Paris the next day. Well, Vernon says, so you thought? No, actually, um, nah, you ain't going to Paris. You can go the day after the wedding, but I'm gonna need you to attend this wedding. And so of course the whole family's confused as to why they have to attend. Um, And Anita, Mama Dupree said, what we will not do as Duprees is we will not cower. We will show up with hostility in our faces and they will see it, but we will be there. Um, so Martin tries to make Danny see how they should have to look in their faces. And Naomi agrees, her daughter is like, well, maybe it is a good idea if we kind of hold them accountable. And I was like, you had to know this wasn't a good idea, but I understand it's the stories. It is what it is, right? So then Danny is all upset. She runs out, her daddy runs after her, and basically he lets her know, he tells her without telling her, like, look, I obviously wish I didn't have to do this, and I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for a good reason. So please do this. And she can't understand why her parents would put her through this pain. But she gonna do what she gotta do because that's just what you gotta do when you would do free, I guess. And so and then we see poor little Lauren at the end of episode 3. She's run off the road by some motorcyclist who is shining their high beams all up in the in the car, and she loses control. And of course, and then we see it's Les. I don't like her. I don't like her. She gives me Phyllis. Guys, do y'all remember Phyllis? I feel like she jumped from Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless. Phyllis was nasty work. I feel like she's a Phyllis. If I'm getting it wrong and y'all have a better character to compare her to, drop down in the comments. But it gives me Phyllis, okay? All right. So as we get into episode 4, we see that Chelsea is doing her shoot for Ebony magazine. And she's still upset about them having to go to this wedding. She's more worried about her mother's state of mind and knows, when she comes into the shoot, she's gonna be very critical of her because she's going through it personally. And then we see Danny at the country club. She's talking to Vanessa and Anita, and basically calling her to tell her she needs. Well, okay, so no, what happened was Danny's at the country club, having a conversation with Vanessa, and Vanessa lets her know that Anita called, which is Mama Dupree, and let her know that she needs to attend Bill's wedding. So, and she's just like, oh my God, first of all, your mama never called me. Second of all, to attend Bill's wedding out of all things. So Nicole tells her that, Danny is putting her girls first, which I thought was um kind of good that she spoke up for her sister, because naturally Bill would want them at his daughters at his wedding. And Danny decided not to let them go alone. And I said, quick on your toes, you better, Nicole, because we all know that's a lie. And so Haley walks in and then asks Danny if they can talk. And I said, here go Haley again. What, don't she learn? Does she not learn? She's still hopeful though. I ain't go I mean, what's the word? She's resilient. Okay. So Naomi calls Nurse Ashley to talk about dinner plans that they're supposed to have later that evening. And then her father rolls up on her, Bill, to have a conversation. He basically asked for respect, and she doesn't feel that she owes him that. He lets her know that he betrayed, he betrayed her by messing with her friend, and she tells him she's not interested in his justifications for his BS, and basically says you're dead to me. And so and you don't deserve my forgiveness. And she calls him out for flaunting Haley in her mother's face. And I said, you better, Naomi. She was just reading her daddy for filth. And so Bill lets her know that it's Haley who basically wants to live um in this community, and basically he wants to be able to give her that. And Naomi tells him that she's despicable and he's cold, arrogant, and selfish. She then asks him where his respect was when he was unzipping his pants for Haley, and then sends her father on his way. And I said, it was a moment for Naomi, and I loved every minute of it. So then we see that Haley is talking to Danny, and she wants to know what they can do to coexist, and if Danny can find forgiveness in her heart. And Danny lets her know that it is not her job to make her feel comfortable, and let her know she's making it her business to make her uncomfortable as possible. Okay. And Nicole watches from afar and tells Vanessa she thinks that this is Danny's calm before the storm. So basically, they're letting us know, all right, y'all, we're working our way up to something. We're working. Okay. And so then we see Mona get a call from Les, um, who she thought it was Laura calling because she's all worried about her. And she tells her that she thinks something happened to Laura because she can't find her. She's never late. And so she's trying to track her down and she can't get in touch with her. Unless it's just like, oh, it'll be fine. It was just, I don't know. It was just terrible. It's giving, I'm telling you, I don't know, for some reason it gives Phyllis. Okay. So Nicole comes into the office and Mona tells her that Laura's late, is a no call, no show. So then she gets a call from Ted all of a sudden, who we know Ted works at what is it, Garland Memorial, letting her know that Laura has been hurt. Okay. So obviously they're gonna run over to the hospital and check on Laura. Then we do see Danny finally show up at Chelsea's photo shoot. She's critiquing her down to the ground and getting on her nerves. And they're doing, at this point they're just doing test shots, and you could just tell Chelsea's so irritated. So finally Andre asked Danny if basically she could back off a little bit and just have some fun, because she's basically messing with the talent, and the talent can't perform like they need to because she's getting on their nerves. So once she does back off, they do seem to enjoy it. And yeah, so she thanks him after the shoot, and tells him that she could use a little distraction. And so she invites him to have a drink with her after. And I automatically knew where this was going, but I was still on the fence because I was like, aren't y'all kind of related? I was still on the fence about what that situation was, but I guess they tell us they not. But anyway, so then we see Laura in the hospital, y'all, and she's ready to get back. She's ready to go back to work and finish packing for her trip. And basically, Ted got to tell her nicely, "Look, boo, you ain't traveling no time soon. You getting ready to go to, like, I think they were sending her to like a rehab facility or something like that, a recovery center that he has. So he basically lets her know that she's going to be transported to his clinic so she can recover there. She then shares the story of the motorcycle running her off the road. Ted tells her that it sounds like an attempted murder, so he is going to call Jacob, who we know works in the homicide department, and have him investigate. And then Nurse Ashley is tending to Laura as she's dealing with the trauma of everything that's happened to her. And then Nicole and Ted let her know that, they've made all the arrangements, they've taken care of everything. And so she can go off to the clinic. And so Mona conveniently calls Les to update her on Laura's condition. I don't know why she feels whatever. So she lets her know that she's all fine, but she's going to be out of commission for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks, they said. So Les is like, well, what are you guys gonna do in she has a very, she's like, so what are you guys gonna do in Laura's absence? And so Les suggests that Eva, maybe Eva can fill in for Laura, temporarily. And so Mona agrees and thinks that, she would fit right in, which is all part of her devious plan, y'all. And so let me tell you what I think, or this is what I started thinking, but we're gonna find out later. I knew when he stepped off the elevator that it was something deeper. When she was gazing at him, I said, "Oh, there's something more there." When they were at the hospital the first time. And I definitely think that Eva might be his child, because they keep alluding to this perfect marriage, and and so I don't know. I don't know what he did before her or if it was during. A child. I think Eva that I think that's whatchamacallit, Cat's sister. Okay. So then we see Haley walk into the office, and she learns that Bill, or supposedly they're playing, let's just cut this right. So they throw Haley and Bill a cute little surprise engagement party. Um and they give speeches and they talk about how they thought they didn't have no friends and no support, which they really don't, except from the people that they're paying. And so then we see Chelsea out having a drink with Kat after the photo shoot, and they're happy. Everything has went well. Naomi is also in the building, on a double date with Jacob and Derek and Nurse Ashley. And so she shares with them that, her daddy rolled up on her and she had to hold him accountable. We see Kat cut out early because she said, I got things to do. And Chelsea said, well, I'm trying to stay at the bar because she was giving eyes to some man at the end of the bar when they walked in. And so as soon as Kat left, he scoot over and slid down, okay? And gave her some company. All right. And so then, Nurse Ashley is talking about Laura being hurt. And obviously, Naomi didn't know. So she updates there on that. And then we also learned that Jacob, I guess, was finally assigned a permanent partner. Somebody, I think his name was Marcus Malone. I know last name was Malone. So I did give y'all that much. Okay. But it's Malone and he's really excited about it. So yeah, that's what's going on. Okay. And but apparently he's like a big wig. He's kind of like, I guess can kind of be a butthole, but he's like, the knowledge that you get from him. And so he's just really excited about it. And whatever, he's growing in his career as he should be. So Danny has Andre over, okay, after the shoot. They're having drinks. She tells him about the fact that she has to go to her ex-husband's wedding because her parents want her to. She asks if he's going, and he lets her know he's not related by blood um or marriage to the Dupree name, but he'd like to be. So then Danny starts blushing and she asks if, like, are you coming on to me, little boy, little fresh young man, little tender, little fresh young tenderoni. And he basically starts admiring some of her old photos, from photo shoots and whatever. And she talks about how she could have been bigger than Naomi and Beverly Johnson. And then they start getting up and dancing randomly, which we know in stories, this is going to turn into a love scene. And it quickly turned romantic after that. And so um, we see after the little makeshift impromptu engagement or wedding celebration for Bill and Haley, we see him give her a blue diamond bracelet at the end of the episode because she ain't got no friends to gift her anything. There's something borrowed, something new, something whatever blue, and all that good stuff that you're supposed to do. She ain't got nobody to do that for because again, she's the orphan and she done up all her friendships. So that's that. All right, y'all. Now we get into the goods, right? Because I'm trying to get this out. I'm gonna try my hardest to get this to y'all. This is episode 5. Try to get this out to y'all before 2 o'clock, so that way I can come to y'all with episode 6 tonight. Okay. Now, Eva is having her interview with Nicole. We know Eva is Les's daughter or whatever. She says that Les is her surrogate mother. So So I wonder if that's true or if that's a part of the lie. Can y'all drop down in the comments and tell me? Because I didn't know which one was the truth or not. Maybe it went over my head. Don't judge me, okay? So she says that Les is her surrogate mother. She was friends with her real mother, who passed away when she was little. And basically, she's the only mom she's known. And we learned that Les and her haven't been in DC very long, is what she said. Or I think she said, did she say DC or she said Maryland? I think she said DC. Anyway, but even though we know this is set in Maryland, right? But as we know, we're not far. Okay. So she asked about Laura and Nicole. And Nicole shares that there was an accident, and so Nicole, but basically so she'll be out for a couple weeks, but it's temporary. But lets her know, I would like to offer you the job until she gets back. Kudos to her. So Les has accomplished her first goal. Well, second, because she done ran poor Laura off the road and almost unalived her. So Haley and Bill are on the phone talking about how excited they are to be married. She feels bad for all that she cost him, and he again says that his marriage would have ended eventually with Danny, whether she came in the picture or not. And then we see her about a part that I didn't care about her, sharing her story with her coworker and how she grew up all alone and her daddy left and her mama resented her and okay. Woo, woo, woo. Violin. I don't care. So Andre and Danny wake up the next morning and he's talking about how enamored he is with her. Okay, because they got down to the get down last night. And so she lets him know it was one night, okay? Only one night. All right. And even though she has no regrets, she still hasn't moved past Bill. And Andre basically says that he has no problems with having no strings attached if she gets lonely, okay? So basically, as she tried to look, he hit her with it. I get so lonely. Hey, all right. She tries to kick Andre out before someone notices his car in the driveway. And he was like, but maybe that's good for you if Bill sees that you're moving on. And she was like, but I'm not. And I was like, ooh, girl, but maybe you need to. We basically see Danny run out and then she goes to see Bill um and basically begs him to cancel this wedding um and come back home. And I said, girl. And Bill plays in her face and tells her it pains him to see her desperation and asks, what happened to your pride? And I said, ooh, that hurt. That cut me deep. But I didn't want her to go up there. When she did it, I knew it was stupid. So I mean, I can't even be mad at Bill. He had some valid points. So Danny reminds him whatever she is in this moment is because of who he made her. And he said, I refuse to receive that. That ain't on me. That's on you. That's some self stuff. You're a Dupree, baby. You should be better and do better. I said, ooh. And he said, and that's why Haley's going to be my wife. And, you better show some grace and forgive Haley. And I said, ooh, he cuts deep. It's nasty work. Bill is nasty work. So then we see Andre, he's doing another shoot for his uncle and aunt, which we know is Nicole and Ted. Um, and then he starts inquiring about Nurse Ashley and her firefighter boyfriend. So basically they all try to tell him, like, look, Ashley is a sweet little girl. She's not sure, how you date, because we know how you be moving in these streets. So yeah, so basically they tell Ted, or not Ted, I'm sorry, Andre, keep your thing to yourself, okay? Ashley's not one of those kind of girls, okay? She's not a casual girl. But I think that, in my opinion, and I don't know what Andre got going on. I don't know if he just like to, spread it thin, then give it to everybody, or because I thought he was really liking Danny, but I don't know now because he gives me the vibe he want to play with so again, maybe he just real friendly, but he give me the vibe he want to play with Nurse Ashley too, okay? Um and so then basically we see Danny go in her closet, which we all know she went in her closet and grabbed her a piece. They didn't show us what was in the box, but we know better, all right? Um and then as they're preparing for it, we're working up to this wedding. Um we see Vanessa run into her husband at the wedding. And I don't know, it was just weird because it was like, well, what are we like? Do y'all not live in the same house? I guess maybe y'all are two ships moving in the night. I just was really confused. And then he's like promising more time with her. But then when she rolls up on him, he like hides his phone. So it's just, I forgot his name again. The husband, Doug. But I I need them to give us more on Doug and Vanessa. But again, I understand it's only 5 episodes and we got to get through this. All right. So then we see Kat, who's approached at the wedding by somebody named, is it Tomas or Thomas Navarro? And he works at Bill's law firm. But he said, I hope that don't, my employment doesn't deter you, because I would like to take you out. He said, can I take you out tonight? That's what he said. Okay. And so then Martin's husband is on the phone being sneaky too. It was just a lot going on at this wedding. And and so Martin is like, he catches him in a moment too, because he's like, is this something I need to be worried about? He was like, nah, you good. You good. It's all good. And my notes say he lying. He lying. And so Bill comes to apologize to Danny for how he behaved earlier that day and basically playing in her face. And, she tells him that, she knows he did something to make her parents attend this wedding, and she doesn't wish him or his whore well. She said she hopes to be a dark cloud for the rest of their miserable lives, and throws a drink in his face. My girl. Okay. He goes to talk to his girls and, tells, basically it's like, oh, I appreciate y'all being here, even though I know it's forced. And both of them just walk off like, yeah, you knew we wouldn't be here otherwise. Okay. And so Danny goes to tell Nicole how she went to beg Bill to come home, and he shut her down in the cruelest way possible. And then Nicole is like questioning her, like, why are you so obsessed? Are you more concerned, like, with Bill. Like, do you really want to be with him, or you just don't want to be alone? And I was like, ooh. And so, this makes Danny upset because obviously we know Nicole is a therapist. So she's like, look, I'm not one of your patients. That's what you're not going to do to me. And so Danny basically wants Bill to pay some sort of price, and she's not letting go till someone suffers. And we all know this is working us up towards the end, where Bill goes to talk to Martin. I think this is super important. And basically lets him know that his family may want to reconsider permanently canceling him out, and basically says it's overkill, which Martin knows is code for something else, right? Because we can see Martin is a little bit triggered when he says that. Naomi and Chelsea go to check on their mama. She tells him, hey babies, my sweet babies. Um, she tells them no matter what happens, that she loves them, something fierce. Okay. So we know she's out here giving her last words. Okay. So as they get the wedding on, Haley comes down the aisle. Everyone, is in black. When the pastor gets up there and asks if anyone objects, Danny says that she does. And then we see her pull out her piece and take her shot. And we don't know who is shot. But again, I'll be back. I'll be on it at 2 o'clock. So I'll be right back with episode 6. Okay. But anyway, also Andre and Nurse Ashley get stuck in an elevator with a pregnant woman. That in the elevator ends up breaking down and the girl goes into labor. So I'm sure we'll follow up with that. And then we also see Eva come home and report back to Les that she got the job. And that's when I think that we all learn that she's devised this plan, and basically said that, Eva's finally going to be where she wants to be. I mean, where she should be, where she deserves to be in her, or belongs, I should say, in her father's house. Okay. So yeah, y'all, it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I definitely think, like I said, we always want to see us represented. I think y'all should definitely go support Beyond the Gates because it was absolutely good. Not too Tyler Perry-ish. It was just the right amount of it gave stories. And if you watch stories, it gave what needed to be gave. And I love to see it black people do it and give it. Okay. So yeah, y'all, let me know what you thought. Drop down in the comments. I appreciate you being here with me. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button. Make sure that you've commented and subscribed, and make sure that you're following us. Oh, and hit your notification bell as well, right? And make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, IG, Facebook, and the Blue Sky. And yeah, y'all, I'll be, like I said, I'm gonna turn around, try to get this edited, and I'll be back with episode 6 very soon. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm Beyond the Gates. Y'all let me know what you think. Have a great week. Happy Monday. Bye-bye.